You guys, it's an honor to be here, and if you're watching at a later time, I grab your cocoa and enjoy what we're having a rainy day here today. My name's Anna, as we mentioned, and I am an alumni of Salt Lake Community College. I was sitting right where you are sitting, probably about 15-ish years ago, as a non-traditional student, wanting to change my career. And what I'm going to talk to you about today is really a 20-year snapshot of my career. I'll just introduce myself. I'll talk about how I kind of set my goals, what my educational journey was like, and how that kind of lined up with my career journey, and really how I ended up in human resources. So it sounds like we have one HR professional here. Is anybody else in HR or worked in HR before? Yeah, well, it's a very interesting career. So, kind of as I mentioned, I just want to talk to you about, I give you a 20-year snapshot of my career and how that landed, and really talk to you about, being better tomorrow than you are today, being in it for the long run, and really like how to set some goals and get there. So if I were to walk into this classroom 20 years ago and say what my career goals were, I really more had a feeling. I knew I wanted to work with people. I knew I was a natural leader, but I wanted to learn how to be a leader and what that meant. And I really wanted to change lives. So my career goals weren't necessarily a job title. I moved to Utah in 2004 due to a life change, and I had owned my own businesses, but I had no completed higher education. So to go from a business leader to just being really willing to start back out at the ground level, and as a single mom, pretty stretched financially at that time, I chose to come to Salt Lake Community College and get my career in business. So you can see this really represents kind of my educational journey. Again, and this is over 20 years. So I knew I wanted to work with people. In my business, I really loved training and spending time with my teams, but I needed a job. So I got a lower level position as a sales coordinator at a tech startup. And within 6 months, they had me doing HR and training. But the first thing I did, because I needed to get working and make some more decent money, was get a certification. Then I got my 2-year business degree at Salt Lake Community College. Probably very similar to a program that you're in now, and I loved it. And Tiana was asking me today, my guest, like, you went to Salt Lake Community College, and Westminster College, and Utah State. What was the best one or the most memorable one? You know, I looking back, getting my degree at Salt Lake Community College felt a little harder than later when I got my bachelor's and my master's. And I think I found rigor in the classes, I found the professors to be great and helpful. It was affordable for me. I could do classes at nights and work that out. Everything was transferable, which I appreciated because I kind of reverse engineered my way through school. I knew I wanted my master's, but I wanted milestones along the way. So I fit in very well at Salt Lake Community College, but it was hard. I think, why was it hard? Well, I learned how to learn, and I learned how to write, and I learned how to be a student. So that 2-year degree really prepared me to go on. It made my bachelor's and master's much easier. I continued on, and I continuously learn all the time. I'm required to for some of my certifications. But I actually came back to Salt Lake Community College a couple years ago. And I got my certification in positive psychology. I had a great experience at Salt Lake Community College. I heard about that, which so aligned with my current job, that I came back here and got my certificate in positive psychology. I got another HR certification, and I've also gone on to become a certified art therapy practitioner, which is something that gives me skills in some of the training content that I build where I work now. And also it just brings me joy. So as you progress through a career, you may start with need and end with joy. So over 20 years, that's kind of where I've landed. And now at age 60, I can focus more on what I really love to do. Versus what I have to do, but I've helped curate that along the way with a lot of hard work. What's in it for you? I'm not gonna lie. As my education grew and my skills grew and my willingness to work hard grew, I had opportunities come to me along the way. I worked for some great employers that recognized my education. My smaller employers recognized my skills. Later on, my larger employers recognized my education level. And all of those things did help me be more and more able to support myself and my daughter and my family. So kind of as a career, without leaning into every single job title, when I got my HR certification in 2007, I was able to be promoted where I was working to a manager. That certification really helped because of what I learned in it. Then, as I got my associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's degree, you can see those really did help prepare me and get noticed for future careers. And now in 2021, or in 2020, I became vice president at Joyce University. I sit on the executive team there, and but I continue to learn and grow, and I love what I do. So why do I love what I do? A career in HR and why a business background helped me so much, from back when I owned my own businesses to everything that I learned by getting a business degree here, a business administration degree at Westminster, and then moving on to get my master's in HR at Utah State. Really helped me, because when you're in HR, to be truly successful as a leader in HR, and as a gift that you receive, you get to interact with every person, every department of the business, and contribute strategically to all of those. So being in HR, in an ideal state of what HR should be, you're interacting with operations, marketing, finance, strategy, leadership, and using all of these skills. So what can you guys see HR in all of these? Do you want me to tie some dots to you? Maybe tell you how I use them, or anybody have any thoughts to this point? I'd like to just open it up for maybe some midpoint questions here. Thoughts? One great sense. Yeah.
Would you say if you have like an HR position, like are you doing like all 5 of these things, or would they like have you focus on one aspect of operations or marketing?
You're doing it all. When you're in HR, you really need to have a broad business knowledge, because you're serving all of these, and if you want to contribute strategically, speak the same language as the people on those teams, you have to have pretty deep knowledge. Like I feel like an extension of the finance team for sure. I sit on the strategic team. I run communications for our innovation committee. I run safety for the campus. So most people think of HR as just like policy, paperwork and policing. That is sad if that's where your HR team is stopping. There are some companies that's just where they wanna kind of shut you up and keep you in that space. So as somebody who's grown a career in HR, I fight really hard for that word seat at the table. I sit with the executives, I contribute to the strategy, I manage the budget for the university. I am in a role of service to every corner of the building, so I have to be an expert in almost every corner of the building. Um, obviously, I want all those operation things, those are kind of HR operations to run really well. I need to understand our brand for marketing, for recruiting, for building flyers. I need to understand the budget. I run the compensation planning. I'm the administrator of the retirement plan. I help guide the organizational design, training and development, workforce planning, and then, a big part of my passions, which I'll talk about later, are in leadership development. One of my favorite things to do is actually train the first time managers. And I've had the honor of developing the Joyce Leadership Academy, which is a big passion of. So if you want to contribute heavily to an organization, a career in HR is amazing. It's been an amazing use of my broad skills. Kind of taking HR to the next level, you've really got to understand technology and use technology. You've really got to understand continuous improvement and change management. So I'm also an expert in technology. We have a technology committee, council, IT teams, all this stuff has to be outsourced. My team is the only team in the university that runs independently. We're building our own HRIS systems. We are managing, facilitating our own integration and apps. And so those teams can actually focus on the student side of technology at Joyce University. And then not only being willing to continuously improve and always have that mindset, here's what's working really well, how can we make it better on a continual basis? You actually lean into being a change agent for the organization. So not only do you have to have that mindset of continuous improvement and embracing change, but that's something that you really need to be able to instill the excitement of that onto other teams. So then there's like value creation. Why does an organization want an HR team like that? So my team and I also focus really hard on value creation. And that starts actually with the people. What is our brand new receptionist or our brand new employee is the most important person in the building, other than students. That brand new employee is who I'm focusing on, but clear up. What do our people need? How can you collect feedback? No matter where you work, what you do with feedback, whether it's feedback about yourself or feedback your department receives, proving that you can collect and act on feedback makes you a valuable employee. And then not just collecting and acting on it, but like closing the loop, sharing what you've learned. Because I have this skill set, this works really, really well in a higher education setting. And that's kind of part of how universities and colleges like Salt Lake Community College are accredited. They have to prove that they collect feedback and act on it and close those loops. So if you can take that kind of accreditation mindset into whatever industry you land on, into being the best. But that's really when like the fun starts happening. you build all these skills and then you can really at some point, I call it kind of job crafting, right? Then you can start building a career for yourself, sharing what you're passionate about and job crafting. So I really thrive on helping and empowering other people to be their best. And I live on that. There's, as I mentioned before, first time managers are probably the group that I like working with the best to really teach somebody how to lead others, how to function the basics of management, but then learn to be a really good leader, set that example, coach others. Um, I don't have things about AI in my presentation today, but I do want to talk about that a little bit at the end. But we're in a rapidly changing society and work environment. There's no workplace that you're going to be in that isn't going to be going through some kind of rapid change. Your ability to not fear change, to not be the person complaining at the water cooler, but the person who is excited and embracing change and learning and wanting new opportunities. But a big part of HR is learning to navigate ambiguity and change. That's how you build resilience in yourself and others. But also as another way to add to make yourself valuable, being that coworker that you want to be. And then one of the things about, I'm not a VP of HR, I'm a VP of people and culture. Well, what does that really mean? Is that just like a fancy title? It's not. I mean, culture involves, it takes a role on itself organically. Culture is what people are whispering about when no one's looking, but if you build sandboxes and programs and train on psychological safety. And actually, one of the first things I did when I took over HR at Joyce University was put expected behaviors in job descriptions from entry level person clear up to executive. Here's how you're expected to behave. Otherwise, how can you really hold people accountable for their behaviors? But if you're teaching people, here's how we want you to behave, here's how you become a leader. There you have the foundation of the Joyce Leadership Academy that I built. But why people? One of the things that, when I think about traditional HR being, policy, policing, paperwork, I just kind of try to reframe that, like a difference between HR and people would be like benefits or amenities, compliance or buy-in. Those are very different. Giving someone information or marketing it, communicating it well. Retaining people or engaging people. Satisfying people or delighting people. Profiting or changing hearts and minds. Complaints or suggestions. You can flip the script on these things so much. And then instead of just thinking about, employees, think about like a total population. Your culture and team is all the employees. It's my team. It's every student who walks through the door. It's every vendor who interacts with the university. And that's how you change people and culture. So this was really me. Over 20 years when I just knew I wanted to make a difference and lead with people. I was a single mom sitting right where you're sitting, and those years ago. This year, I won the 2025 HR Achievement Award from Utah Business Magazine. I'm starting to get recognized globally and fighting to write and speak in different areas. But I'd like you to take away some things. is you're just at the very beginning of a journey. I don't know why you're here, you're showing up, you're in school. And it's not a race. I don't care if you're 50 or you're 18. Just I want you to be better tomorrow than you are today. It doesn't matter how long you get there. I didn't get my master's degree until I was 47 years old. I'm 59 now. I just won this award. I have the best years of my career still ahead of me, and I'm thriving. But I did not, I was a non-traditional student too, in some form or another, and I was broke. And that's why I chose SLCC, because I could get a start here, and you're probably here on some level for a similar reason. So play the long game. This is, my 20-year story. When you do have a career goal, or even a feeling, like I knew I wanted to be a leader. When I actually got my business administration degree from Westminster, I knew I wanted to get my master's degree. My plan was a master's in HR. At that time, I did kind of toy, should I get my master's in accounting? Because I'm really good on the finance side too, and I could have had maybe an even higher paid career there, but I love working with people so much. Didn't feel that change lives part of it. Work hard and show up. We're in a really fast-paced culture right now. There's that instant gratification mindset that we all have. And I would encourage you, like, how do you play the long game? You say yes a lot. Somebody asks you to do something, say yes. And then if you need more clarification, say yes. And this is what I would be worried about to accomplish this for you. Do you have any ideas? Say yes, ask questions. Learn every day and learn the rest of your life, and learn to learn and learn to love learning. And then, persevere through challenges. There's going to be setbacks. There's going to be ambiguity. Remember what matters most to you, your personal values, and where you want to go. Focus on being better today, better tomorrow, better today than you were yesterday, better tomorrow. It's not a race. And stick with whatever you choose. And there'll be lots of different avenues that you can go. One thing I will say, as you're contemplating careers, did I have that one up for you guys? Okay, sorry. As you're contemplating careers, oh, by the way, this is me with Glam Team, and me without Glam Team. And there's one thing they don't tell you about Glam Team, you just wish you had one every day after you have one with. But this is my get out of bed and have a cup of coffee team.
You look great.
Oh, thank you. So I just got back from HR Visionaries in Atlanta on Saturday. And it's being a member in that is one of the most, I'd say, meaningful training opportunities for me that I get to go to every year. And there's only about 400 people in the world that get to go to this. One of the most simple, meaningful things that I heard, the head of Sam's Club was there, and they were talking about AI, and I've had less fear around AI than kind of all the hype. But I want to talk to you about why maybe choosing a people first career would be a wise move with the future, and maybe even the future of AI. So if you have a task-based career, you could get replaced by AI. Let's face it, it's a task. There's drones doing inventory, the shipping industries, like all of our tasks are gonna somehow get automated. if there's a creative endeavor that you're interested in, and you choose a creative career, you might partner with AI, you might augment your work with AI. That's exciting field if you're choosing an exciting field. But if you choose something that requires human touch and empathy, those things are not going to be outsourced by AI. AI can't read the mood in the room. AI can't judge context or tell if someone's having a bad day or all those other things. So it's going to be more important than ever to be better at being a human yourself so that you don't or your career doesn't get outsourced to AI. I want you guys to walk away from here thinking, I need to be really good at being human. I want you to be really good at being listening, caring about people, showing empathy, doing what's right, reaching out to your friends, your neighbors, your coworkers, being compassionate and not seeing compassion as a sign of weakness. I think one of the things that differentiates me, and you can follow me here on LinkedIn, I'd love to stay in touch with all of you, is I would say over my career, a lot of people would have called me like nice. And I don't want to be nice or thought of as nice. I want to be thought of as compassionate and helpful and not have that word nice be weaponized against me, and it can be. I do imagine maybe 80% of you in this room work for an HR department that's not nice or that is stuck in that paperwork, policy, and policing mode. It really can be different. You really can seek employers who have a different kind of HR department. Or if you're in HR, you can seek a team that has a different kind of HR department. And the closer the leader of that team is to the top of the organization, the better chance that you'll have to have that kind of experience. I'd love to just answer questions, and help you guys. I can backtrack to anything that you would like. I can offer my opinions. I'm not afraid to do. And here's why I want you to ask me questions. A skill of the future is not going to rely on your knowledge. Knowledge is at your fingertips, and AI knows everything. And AI's IQ is already 155, and they're expecting it to double in the next 18 to 36 months to be smarter than any human ever. So you don't need knowledge anymore. You need the ability to collaborate and build relationships, to ask questions, and then learn how to disseminate the information that's right for you and your organization. So learn to ask questions. Because AI is going to give you a lot of information and it's not always the right answer for you, but you can learn to ask questions right to one another, to AI, and then always remember the information that you get back. You still have to disseminate it, analyze it, make sure it's right, make it your own. But I want you guys to be prepared for that changing world as well and not afraid of it, prepared for it. And learning to ask great questions is a good way to start. So who has a great question? Bobby?
I actually did recognize you in the board when I was looking you up. I just was making sure it was you.
Yeah.
But I was wondering, in your opinion, what was like the main factor that got you that?
That got me that award?
Yeah.
I was nominated by 3 different individuals in the community, and I don't know who, but what they said was my ability to collaborate, to make people feel seen, heard, and valued, but then also the total rewards program and so forth, the structure that I build. And the fact, I don't dictate culture, I build opportunities, and so, like. I may like start a book club that, here's a book club. Here's a coffee club, here's the Joyce Leadership Academy, here's a town hall, here's. Transparency and compensation and career paths and all these things, but I don't. Over. I also don't micromanage, I think I'm really good at providing opportunities and letting. Culture and people and friendships and the way people interact with one another, that trust building all come alive on its own. I think it's because I've been such a good builder and not a dictator.
I just want to say, because I work with Anne and under her organization, one of the things that Anne does very well is that she lifts the people around her. The culture that she builds and sustains is a culture where people lift each other, and she leads it by example, and she puts the right people in place to continue that lifting.
Thanks, Gilman.
Most of us are trying to either we're starting or we want to enter the work field, the work environment. You in HR, like I know that you've been working with like hiring and developing like new people and everything. With this focus that you're talking about AI and how it will affect the current job environment, what would you say that are like things that you look for in someone that you're hiring, no matter what career it is, no matter what it is, like as an HR representative, what would make someone go be better or be more fit to any position than anyone else in an AR like AI scaling business world right now, if that makes sense.
I think the ability to communicate and ask questions. I learned more in an interview about somebody by, that you get to the end and you say, do you have any questions for me? And they maybe say no. I would rather see somebody prepared, first of all, be on time. Be dressed appropriately for the culture, like that job that you want, like, hey, hoodie and baseball cap, that's gonna be awesome at some places. But blazer and shirt might be appropriate for others, so kind of do your research when you're going into an interview, see what you can find out about the company and its culture just based on their website. Know their mission, vision, and values. It's not so much for me about how somebody answers questions. It's about what they ask, and also somebody's willingness to say, I don't know, or blush, or laugh, just be real. I look for people who are real. I also, and I train my team, like, you might be thinking like, I am competing against a bunch of other people who have experience or have done this job before. I want to hire somebody where this job is a little bit of a stretch for them. It's kind of a big deal. If I were hiring an HR manager and there were 10 people who've been HR managers before for 20 years apiece, and then I have an HR coordinator who's super excited about this role and has a great attitude, I'll hire them all day long. So don't be intimidated by your experience and your lack thereof. More and more, you're going to be hired for your attitude, your ability to ask questions, your humility, your coachability. So, and also just, just being real. Don't be afraid to show a little of your personality. You don't have to you don't want to overshare in an interview, but also be yourself. Be yourself. So,
Thank you.
yeah. Don't be afraid to apply for something you're not quite qualified for. I mean, I started in food, right? I'm gonna hire somebody from food or a theater kid all day long. There are just certain, I'm looking for a background that demonstrated work ethic not maybe job switching every year. I'm looking for attitude, and also like, say you have job switched every year. You're applying for this job over here. Only list the jobs on your interview that are kind of relevant to that job, so be willing to have more than one resume. But be prepared, they might say, well, what were you doing from, 2000, 18 to 19, and just be honest, but just say, I listed the jobs here that I felt would show you I had relevant skills for this position. I was working in a role that doesn't have relevant skills.
Well, I was gonna say, so not necessarily degrees or cert wise, but what do you think was an educational thing we did that would be good for everyone, I guess, to get answered, so.
Okay. Find somebody who believes in you. Find a mentor, if you're not in a workplace who provides you like a mentor, find somebody that you wanna be like. Find somebody in a career you think you're interested in, and ask them if they'd be willing to be your mentor or talk to you. I would say my confidence really shot up, and my career really took off when I got a mentor. Somebody who was willing to introduce me to people in the industry, invite me to things. And just kind of give me a leveled up experience, so if you have an opportunity to have a mentor, that was really the pivotal point for me was getting a mentor from somebody who's in a similar role that I am now. When I was the national manager for GameStop, I got mentored by one of their vice presidents of leadership development. And he was like, why are you doing this? Like, I need let's get you an audience to share your ideas. Find somebody who wants to hear your ideas and help you just get excited.
We have about 10 minutes.
Perfect. Hey,
I was gonna backtrack a little bit, going to your education and then your job experience, because you started out with a lot more job experience and then made your way into. Education, so I wanted to ask, like, what would be your biggest advice for somebody that is doing the opposite, that they wouldn't know is about for. The job experience, but they're trying to get for education.
so you got education first, but then non-experience. Be willing to start at the bottom, say yes, and work your way up. Like, I went from owning 5 businesses to moving to Salt Lake and taking a job for $15 an hour. But I said yes, I went in, I worked my tail off. I was promoted 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. So if you're in any kind of an opportunity to set your life up to get a little support, don't be afraid to, like, you may know, like, I've got my 2-year business degree now, or I've got my 4-year business degree if you move on, and this is the job I want, I have no experience in it. Don't be afraid to go, that's the job I want, but I'm willing to start 2 levels under, and I have so much confidence in myself, I know I'm gonna get promoted fast because I have the skills. But don't underestimate the transferable skills you get by your social intelligence. Like, that human side of you is going to become more and more valuable, so your skills are going to become less and less valuable, and your social skills are going to become more and more valuable. That's the society we're going into. It's a really hard time to be going into a society like that when we're coming out of COVID, when we're coming out of generations who grew up on screens. And this may not be all of you in this room, but social skills are haven't been fostered in the way our society's been running for the last 20 years or so. It's harder to learn social skills. There's more. I was just talking to a woman from San Diego State University. And they're doing a lot of research on like the new kind of student. I'm sure it's happening here at Salt Lake Community College too. Like the ability to really connect and engage your students as a university is getting harder and harder, and student satisfaction scores are kind of going down. And as a university, we have to relearn how to engage you, but it's deeply rooted, and their research is showing the students are actually afraid. And they don't have social skills, and they've been like closed off, and then you're asking them to come in the classroom and share when they've been isolated so much of their lives. So being brave and don't underestimate the power of your personality.
How is the HR and hiring landscape change maybe in the last 5 years or so? I think a lot of people experience what some people call the job apocalypse, you know, like it's it feels different. Like a lot of places are hiring, but they won't tell you no. You know, fake job listings, stuff like that. Have you noticed any trends? I saw one thing that they called it like revenge for people like quiet quitting during COVID and stuff like that. So they're more picky, I guess, with their new hires. Have you noticed any big changes in the last couple of years of HR landscape?
Here's what I have heard. There are a lot of C-level executives out there that are bitter. They're bitter because when the pandemic happened, they opened their checkbooks, they helped people, they let them go home. They feel like they rolled out this red carpet, emotionally, financially, and everything to help their workforce. And then the quiet quit happened. They're like, I did all this for all these people, and then they walk out on me. I feel really fortunate this did not happen at Joyce University. We've continued to run, about 30% less on industry benchmark turnover and things like that. But I am hearing this from my peers. There's a reset going on right now. And also our society is polarized right now. There's a lot of black and white thinking. What I'd say to you is, I'm not naive this is going on, but I think we're at like the top of a bell curve where you're going to see things start getting better. And again, don't give up. Like if you don't have a job, your full-time job is looking for a job. You always have a job, right? If you are finding yourself isolated or not finding opportunities, keep yourself busy, get out there, volunteer, show up for the coffee with a friend, form a study group, but just try to avoid isolating. The more people you connect with, the more opportunities that will come up for you. And don't discount like we all have mental health, just like we all have physical health. So don't discount your own mental health either. It's really important to take care of yourself, to know that everyone is struggling and on some level, and we all have mentally health. Like somebody might be physically healthier than me, or I'm on a high right now, they're on a low, I can run more on the treadmill. I mean, the same is going on with our mental health. And there's, that society's just hard right now. I've heard of this. If you have a great HR team, they're fighting so this doesn't happen. So you may want to do a little research on the company that you're
It's huge.
applying with to find out who their HR team is.
I never could that when I was young, it's like research,
Oh,
because I was applying for it.
It's important.
It really is.
You may want to apply for less jobs, but do more research and and customize your resume, apply for less jobs, highlight your social skills, your collaborative skills, your adaptability, your human side. Because, all those like task-based, knowledge-based, technical base are more and more of that is going away and more is gonna come about like your attitude.
What do you think about implementing like 4-day work weeks as a whole? Do you think they're efficient? And if they aren't, do you think it's worth it to have a satisfied employee base, even if it doesn't make the most profits?
I think that's really, I think an organization should be willing to customize. And to look at all of those options. And sometimes state law, payroll laws play in a factor. But at Choice University, what we've implemented is flexible PTO, not unlimited PTO, flexible PTO. Which means there's no waiting, there's no counting, we don't want you to miss that baseball game, we want you to take, as long as you can manage your workload and your book of business, you can have whatever time off you want. You'll start seeing that more and more. Now, where I see more of a struggle is just kind of this mindset, like everyone wants remote work. And some jobs just require you to be on campus or on site. And like my team, we run hybrid, so I think what you might wanna look at a company is flexibility. Do they have any kind of flexibility amongst the teams? Do you know what you're applying for? And even like I know Tiana hired somebody right now where we're requiring her to be on campus, the 5 days a week at first, and then you can start adding 1 or 2 remote days, and so a lot of our teams are doing that. Personally, for somebody on salary, like I'm on salary, I'm a leader, I'm probably working 5 12-hour days. Okay, but for your hourly workforce, why not flex? Somebody's there Monday through Thursday and somebody's there Tuesday through Friday. So, I think workplaces should be flexible. I support all of it, but I also understand sometimes there's a business need. What you kind of want to watch out for is businesses that are doing things for control versus business need. One of the pro soccer team in Atlanta, I was just talking to one of their leaders and they're like, they fought and fought and fought and fought. Because their employees all wanted to get off at 4 in the afternoon and close the office. And they fought and fought, and they're like, why are we doing this? This is such old thinking. Traffic in Atlanta, the difference between letting your employees go home at 4 or 5 could be 2.5 to 3 hours in the car. So like, what are we doing? This is just small win. So they changed their office hours to end at 4. And now their whole workforce is happier. So finding people that aren't stuck in their old ways, who are flexible, put those kind of things in suggestion boxes with a positive spin, be part of the solution. And not part of the problem. Learning how to, present your needs positively versus negatively goes so far.
Oh, we have time for one more question.
All right. Who's great at asking questions? That's a skill of the future.
I think you covered most of my questions, but where do you see HR evolving in the next 5 to 10 years? We went.
Okay, so this is really fun. And I have this realization that if I were to call myself like my generation of human resource professional right now, we're probably managing the last all human workforce. And to wrap my head around that, I just got goosebumps, but I am probably managing the last all human workforce that we're going to see. You'll end up having coworkers that are AI beings. At some point, this is very real. So at some point, HR is going to need to step in. HR leaders are going to need to be willing to step in on the AI side. Otherwise, we'll get left behind. So how do we start managing our AI workforce? How do you manage it when your AI devices, drones, forklifts, cars, and all that start trying to be friends with your employees? Because that's coming. Mercedes right now is designing cars that will be your friend. Hey, Anne, I noticed you didn't stop at Starbucks on 90th and State this morning. What's going on? Are you in a hurry? Like your car's gonna start having conversations with you like that. So imagine the HR implications if you get an AI, fed wrong intel, and it starts saying things inappropriate to your team. So I am managing probably one of our last human workforces. And that is like, wow,